Hello everyone. Um, I was here about 2 or 3 months back, and probably some of you were here as well at that time. So it's good to be back again, and thank you for having me. Uh, all the chaos started with Guru because he wrote to me and said, "You must come and speak about India versus Bharat." Now this makes no sense to me. This is typical management school talk which I don't understand. So I refused, and he said, "Okay, you come and tell us your story." So I said, "Okay, that I can do," and that's why I'm here. Now, my story is very simple. I started at Bajaj in December 1990. The first 5 years I spent in manufacturing because before that, when Guru and I were in college together, so the main reason I used to be very popular was because my friends and especially my teachers could get a Chetak out of line if they spoke to me, because it was still a 2-year waiting list for the Chetak that time. So I thought to myself, well, everything's right with this company except that it can't make enough. So I must work in the manufacturing area. So that's what I studied after COEP, and so I spent 5 years doing that. By 95, I found out we are very good at making this Chetak, but nobody seems to want to buy it anymore. So I turned my attention to products, and that means R&D, engineering, tooling, machine tools, and that sort of stuff. So about the next 5 years were spent developing new products. That's the time we started working on the Pulsar, for example, in 1998. It was eventually launched in 2001. So that's what I did till the year 2000. And then once we had nice products rolling out, so we had manufacturing, we had products, but we apparently didn't know how to sell because we never sold. People came and bought. So now we had to sell. So we did the usual things you do when you have to sell. You appoint the dealer, then you screw the dealer, then you advertise, then you promote, then you discount, and you do all that kind of stuff. And we did all that. And I did that for about 5 years again. So at the end of 15 years, 2005, it seemed as if we had done pretty well. I was happy with myself because I had done 5 years everywhere. And in 2006, we had a really good year. That's the time when I think we had a best year ever, in a sense. And everybody wrote about us because we were within that much, if I remember correctly, within about 15,000 vehicles a month. That's all that separated us from Hero Honda in year 2006. So everything was good. 2007, the bottom fell out of our world. We couldn't do anything right anymore. And it was back to the drawing board because we thought we'd done everything right. Good quality, good productivity, good products, well made, etc., etc. Big dealer network, urban, rural and all that, above the line, below the line, everything had been done. But the business just collapsed by more than half. And we really had to sit down and think and ask ourselves what went wrong. And that's when we decided to plot a new strategy, which we put into play from 2007. As a result, last financial year that finished 31st March 2010, we had our best year ever, our highest ever revenues, profitability. In a world that was going through a difficult situation, we emerged not just in the country, but in the world as the most profitable automaker with a EBITDA margin of over 20%, which is very, very unusual in this industry. When sometimes I meet people from places like Louis Vuitton or companies like that, and they say these are margins that are associated with our industry. Sometimes I meet people like Mr. Chandrasekaran from TCS, and he says, "What are you doing on a 22% operating margin?" So typically the auto industry is supposed to be 6, 8, 10, 12%. And I think the reason I stress it is because I think ultimately the validation of your strategy lies first and foremost in how healthy your company is in that sense in terms of its profitability. So I think our strategy worked, or at least seems to work so far. And that's where we are. This year is probably 40% better than our best year ever last year. So for now we are back. That's my story. And I was going to stop there till Guru said, no, we must do some more. So I quickly put up a presentation. I don't think I have the time to run through all of it in as much detail as I would like to. But I want to just share with you, largely through pictures, this journey of ours. And assuming you are all management students and generally either specializing in marketing or somewhat interested in marketing, hopefully this will be useful for you. So we will start with the next slide, please. This is, I call it the identity, because this is how Bajaj Auto was known to your parents and grandparents. That was the symbol, that was the logo, and that was the positioning statement, value for money for years. Next, please. And this is the origin of Bajaj, the 150cc scooter and the famous auto rickshaw. Here I need to make one point. When you look at these two products, they look like they belong to the same family. You know, they look equally pretty or ugly. You can tell they were made in the same shop. You can tell they are both priced at the at the same sort of level, etc., etc. They look like they belong together, like siblings. And this is very important because I think that's the basis of all branding. So that's how it all started. And when I was here 2 months back, I said to those of you who were here, it's very important to have a family and not to have a zoo. You know, zoo is when you have all kinds of animals and then the zoo has no pedigree. So it's very important, even if you're a mongrel, at least you have that pedigree. You know, you can't be a mutt, which is the best of all breeds. Yeah? Okay, next please. And on that basis, Bajaj grew through the 60s, 70s, 80s, while before you were born and while I was still studying. And there's so many scooters there, but as you can see, they're more or less the same. Some difference in technical specs. And the important point here is, you know, when people say Bajaj was number one or Hamara Bajaj was the song of scooters, etc., the question is really, is the power in the name or is the power in the strategy? In my view, the answer is the power is in the strategy. The name is really quite incidental. Where people go wrong, in my view, is when they start thinking it's not the strategy that made Bajaj powerful, it's Bajaj that made the company powerful. And then they take that name and line extend it all over the place and muck it up. So whether Bajaj is the cause, not the chaos, the cause or the effect is the question. Most people tend to think Bajaj is the cause of success. In my view, Bajaj is the effect of success. Next one, please. And when you're growing and you're successful, then you must have some hobbies. So these were our hobbies. Yeah. We made a little scooterette and we made a step through moped. The reason I say hobby, I don't have enough time to explain it, but both at the front end in terms of the brand, in terms of the family feeling, and also in terms of the back end, it doesn't fit with the rest of it. These were very popular vehicles. We made them and sold them for about 20 years. But I can tell you, from the day they were launched to the day they were discontinued, they never made money. And if Rajiv Kapoor was here from Fiat, I'd ask him a few questions about his cars as well, because because sales is easy. Yeah. Okay. So I think you got the point. So I'll move on. Next one, please. Yeah. So when you have a hobby, you get lazy, and then you need a crutch to prop you up. In my job, the principles that I work with, because we all need some principles to work with, is based on the science of homeopathy. And one of the fundamental principles of homeopathy is when you do something to keep yourself healthy, you first attempt to strengthen yourself from within. And then if you still cannot develop the vitality that you need to resist the disease or to do what you have to do, then you might use a crutch from the outside. Whereas allopathically, we are just popping pills all the time, trying to compensate and not trying to strengthen ourselves from within. The reason I call this a crutch is because at a time when Bajaj was a market leader, early 80s, instead of really putting up an R&D and encouraging development, etc., we went just like everyone else. We were not the only person to do it, but nevertheless, we also went and tried to lean on someone and make some products with them, which is perhaps not the best way. So in my point of view, the outside-in way is a crutch and must only be attempted after the inside-out fails. So this is what we did. We went to Kawasaki, and as a result, the next one, please. And as a result, we went not all the way to chaos, but we went to confusion, because now you have a scooterette for a little girl, and you have a M80 for the Dudwala, you have a Chetak still, or a Legend for the family, and you have a motorcycle, and it's all still supposed to be Bajaj. This is how, in my view, confusion starts. And often the debate is, how can you tell whether something's confused or not, whether you're making the right decision or not? Where do you draw the line, and how do you draw the line? I found ultimately, in my experience, the best way is to just become aware of yourself. If you're making a decision, you're contemplating something, whether you're studying, working, at home, health, or whatever. If your decision is accompanied by like a churning of the mind, a shortening of the breath, you feel your pulse is moving, you feel your face is stiffening, your tongue is up at the roof of your mouth, you can be sure your decision comes more out of ego. Whereas if you feel you're calm and you're relaxed, probably your decision comes more from your intellect. So those of you who do yoga, you know what I'm talking about. So when you look at this, confusion, I don't think this comes from somebody's intellect. I think it comes from the ego to make everything for everyone. That sort of thing. Okay, next one, please. So when we were caught in this confusion, we decided that we must learn from somewhere and find a better way. So we looked at two companies, Toyota and Volkswagen, because they are consistently the most successful car companies globally. And we looked at this simple or simplistic structure or articulation of the strategy of Toyota. The small car is Daihatsu, the value for money car is Toyota, the premium car is Lexus, the truck is Hino. And that was the seed or the starting point of our strategy, and we said, this makes sense. Maybe we've forgotten what made us successful in the first place. We got to go back to that. So that's the reference that we started with. Next, please. And this was our first attempt to apply it. So we said to ourselves, okay, maybe we should narrow our focus. Maybe we should try to sharpen our identity. And maybe we are about bigger and sportier bikes. Somebody else can do the fill it, shut it, forget it. Here you fill it, shut it, and you race it. So that's our position. And we should go after that. So this was the first execution of it. It was not perfect, but it is the thought with which we started. And again, when you make these choices, when you work, you can never be sure whether what you're going to do is right or wrong. Are you going to give up on an opportunity, or are you going to do too much again? And the question is again, how do you decide? So if you saw the movie, The Scent of a Woman, Al Pacino says, and I can't finish the sentence, but I'll tell you essentially what he says. He says, when in doubt, and there's one 4-letter F word there at the end of it. So in my view, when in doubt, specialize. So that's the mantra with which we worked, that if there is doubt, the safer decision is the decision to specialize. Next one, please. And the Pulsar got us back in 2001. The Discover came along 2004. And we were rolling again. As I said, our sales were going up in 2000, 2005. And then eventually you get greedy all over again, because the most difficult thing in management is you don't know how to draw the line between growth and greed. Where does growth stop and where does greed start? This is something that we are not calibrated for. So we chase growth because we say growth is life and growth is a way of life. And somewhere then we become greedy, and then the Lehman Brothers of the world happens. So how to draw the line is very important, and I'll come to that later, but this is what we did. Instead of sticking to why I call this greed is because instead of staying with Pulsar and Discover and building on that, we said to ourselves, but we want some of that also. We want some of the fill it, shut it, forget it also. So we said, okay, we'll make a CT100 and all. It won't take too much time. We'll spin it off the same platform, etc. So once again, you see line extension, brand extension happening. Next, please.